Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating connection between two worlds you'd probably never think to put together: the cold, hard logic of prime numbers and the deep spiritual insights of Lotus Sutra Buddhism. So, this whole idea kicks off not with some complex proof, but with this simple, almost funny admission. The author, a Buddhist teacher, was just daydreaming and stumbled upon this hidden doorway, a pattern connecting these two totally different fields. So this isn't some dry lecture. It's about following along on a real journey of discovery. And what they found is, well, it's pretty remarkable. The core idea here isn't just that this is a clever analogy. No, they're proposing a genuine isomorphism. That's a fancy word for a shared, fundamental structure that can actually shed new light on both math and spiritual practice. Okay, let's get into it. To really see the pattern the author saw, we've got to make sure we're all on the same page about what a prime number even is. It's pretty simple, really. A prime number is a whole number you can only get by multiplying 1 and itself. So 7 is prime. You can only get it with 1 times 7. But a number like 12, not prime, because you can make it with 2 times 6 or 3 times 4. Primes are special. In fact, primes are so crucial that mathematicians call them the atoms of arithmetic. Think about it. Just like all physical stuff is built from atoms, every single whole number is built from a unique mix of primes. The number 60, for example, is always and only 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. They're the irreducible building blocks for the entire system of numbers.
But this brings up a really key question. It might sound a little nerdy, but trust me, the answer is the key that unlocks the whole first part of the spiritual parallel. If primes are the basic building blocks, why isn't the number 1, the definition of unity, on that list?
Well, mathematicians leave 1 out to keep that unique combination rule working. If 1 were prime, you could factor the number 12 in a million different ways, just by throwing in more 1s, and the whole beautiful system falls apart. Now, here's where it gets wild. This exact same logic applies to a core Buddhist concept, the Dharmakaya, which you can think of as the ultimate source, the ground of all reality. The Dharmakaya is the source from which everything else comes. Because of that, it can't be counted among the things it creates. It's for the same exact reason 1 can't be counted among the primes. If you include the source in the set of its own creations, you can't make any meaningful distinctions anymore. The logic is absolutely identical. So once we set the 1 aside as the source, the primes themselves can start to tell their story. Let's see how this pattern builds, starting right at the beginning, with the very first prime number, 2.
The number 2, the first and, in a lot of ways, the absolute strangest prime of them all.
I mean, think about it. 2 is the only even prime number that will ever exist. Every other even number is, of course, divisible by 2. It's the ultimate oddball. But it's also the bridge. With only the number 1, you have unity, but nothing's happening. The moment 2 shows up, boom, relationship is possible, and the entire infinite world of numbers can start to unfold. The parallel for this incredible anomaly is one of the most amazing moments in the Lotus Sutra. This gigantic treasure tower emerges from the earth, and inside are 2 Buddhas sitting side by side. Now, this is supposed to be totally impossible. The established rule is strictly 1 Buddha per world system. But here we see the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, next to a Buddha from the distant past. This image of 2 yet 1 is the bridge between our everyday world and timeless reality. Just like the number 2, it's the ultimate anomaly that makes a relationship possible. All right, next up. After the anomaly of 2, we get to the first typical prime number, 3. And the number 3 lines up perfectly with all these threefold structures that are just central to Buddhist philosophy. Whether it's the Threefold Truth or the 3 treasures, these aren't just random lists. They represent these dynamic, irreducible relationships. 2 points make a line, but it takes 3 to make a plane. 3 creates the first stable form, moving us beyond simple opposition into a synthesis. From 3, we skip over the number 4, because that's 2 times 2, and we land on the next prime, 5. And 5 is where we find the Dharma, the ultimate teaching itself. The title of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo, is written in 5 Chinese characters. In the school of Nichiren Buddhism, this title isn't just a label. It's considered the entire teaching compressed into its most essential, unbreakable form. You can't break it down any further, just like you can't factor the prime number 5. After 5, we skip 6, and we arrive at our next prime, the number 7. And 7 is where the teaching becomes action. You take the 5 characters of the Dharma, and you add 2 more in front. Namu,
which means something like devotion or taking refuge. And now you have the 7-character chant, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. This act of devotion transforms the Dharma from an idea you understand into something you live. 5 is the teaching, 7 is the complete practice.
So here's the really amazing part. These aren't just a collection of clever coincidences. When you lay them all out in order, you see they form a coherent, progressive path. The entire journey is laid out right here in the primes. You begin with the ground of being, the one that can't be counted. Then you recognize reality's fundamental interdependence, which is 2. You see its dynamic structure, 3. You receive the essential teaching, 5. And finally, you embody it in your life through complete practice, which is 7. The sequence of prime numbers maps directly onto the stages of the Buddhist path. It's incredible. But the path, just like the prime numbers themselves, doesn't just stop there. The primes go on forever, 11, 13, 17, and on into infinity. And after centuries of study, their full pattern is still one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in all of mathematics. This infinite, mysterious quality of the primes, it perfectly mirrors the open-ended journey of any real contemplative path. There's always more to discover. So what's the big takeaway here? We've seen these really profound similarities. First, both of these systems are all about what is fundamental and irreducible. Second, they both explore how a massively complex world can bubble up from a single, unified source. And finally, they both reveal patterns that feel necessary, essential, like they were discovered, not just made up. This whole thing started with someone just daydreaming about numbers, and they ended up finding the shape of a spiritual path. And that just leaves us with this huge question to think about. Where else in our world might the deep structures of logic and the deep structures of the spirit be pointing to the exact same truth?